Namaste, my friends, fellow aspiring yogis. Welcome to another Thoughtful Thursday. I hope some of you have had the opportunity to tune in to our friends. I think we've had Jai Dhammadas, Nityananda Das, we've had Jai Krishna Das, and now we have Radha Krishna Das. They all sound very similar. So here we are with Radha Krishna Das again. I'm very happy to be here and share some of the gift of yoga wisdom that I've been very kindly given by my dear spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddhaswarupananda. So tonight's format is the same as we follow each Thursday. We'll begin with a little meditation, then we'll go into tonight's topic, and then we'll have some kirtan meditation to wrap up. And just also a reminder that if you have any topics that you would like to hear about, a particular or a specific topic, or even a specific question you might have, then please let us know. We really are looking forward to and wanting to speak on topics, questions that people have. So please consider that and drop it in, and we can, either myself or one of our other friends who does the Thoughtful Thursdays can actually take that as the topic, and other people may also be interested in it. So let's cut straight to it, and let's begin some meditation. We'll do a guided meditation that incorporates breath awareness, some relaxation techniques, a little bit of mindfulness, and then finish with mantra meditation, mantra yoga, where we add meditation to our practice. So the mantra that we'll be using is the Gauranga mantra. This is a very simple, very beautiful, very uplifting mantra. If you're not familiar with it, the mantra is in 4 parts, 4 syllables, which are Gaur, Ra, Ang, Ga. And the practice is very, very simple. We'll come to a point where we harmonize our breathing, our inward and outward breath. And then when we do that, starting on the 3rd outward breath, we actually say the mantra aloud. We say it audibly. And in this way, we can fully immerse ourselves in the experience of mantra meditation. So we're saying the mantra so we can hear it, we're listening to it, we're resting the mind, we're resting ourself, our very being in this transcendental sound. So let us begin, and if you are depends on your situation, if you would like to close your eyes. This is just conducive to remove, distractions in the room. People may be walking around or different things that, may catch your eye. So if you'd like to, close your eyes. So I'm not sure if you can actually hear the background music or not. I think you should be able to. But let's just take a few moments to relax and to step back from all of our day's work, all of our day's hassles, worries, and let us be fully present in our experience tonight. Let us not worry about the past with regrets or anything like that. And let us not worry about the future. So as we're listening to this relaxing music, let us also be aware of each inward and outward breath, and allow each breath to take us a little deeper into a place of relaxation. Whenever the mind may want to jump to this or that thought, we don't fight to try to control the mind, but gently come back into our practice. Let's take 3 nice long and deep inhalations and exhalations. Feel the body expanding with each inward breath and feel a softening and a deeper relaxation with each outward breath. Let us now move on to mindfulness practice. Very simple, very easy. We begin with simple awareness of how we are the observer of our breath. So you can mentally say to yourself, I am aware I am inhaling. I am aware I am exhaling. So we are simply observing each inward and outward breath. In this state of awareness, of observing the breath, we begin to find peace, quietness, relaxation. You can do a scan through your body and see if you're holding tension in your shoulders or arms, in the face, the scalp, the stomach, or anywhere in your body, allowing each breath to soften and relax those areas of tension or tightness. As we now move to mindfulness, where we start to become aware that we are the silent witness of this stream of thoughts which is ever moving through the material mind. So we're not trying to empty the mind. We're not trying to control the mind. We're not passing any judgment on good thoughts or bad thoughts. We're not trying to hold on to a particular thought. In the same way as if you're sitting peacefully, quietly, silently on the bank of a stream, just observing whatever may move by in the stream itself. You are the observer. You are the silent witness. So with the mind, we are the observer, the peaceful, the quiet, the silent observer of the constant stream of thoughts. The different anxieties and fears, the different emotions and feelings and sentiments, the different plans and projections, the regrets, all of these are to be found in the mind. They sometimes rise to the surface, sometimes are deeper. But be aware that you are the silent, peaceful, calm observer or witness of this stream of thoughts. There are many profound, important realizations which spring from this mindfulness practice. We do not need to be swept away by whatever may be troubling us there in the mind. For we are not our mind, and we are not the content of the mind. We are the eternal Atma, the eternal spiritual self, temporarily covered by the physical body and the mind. Our nature is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of conscious awareness, wisdom, and blissful by nature. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. I am not matter. I am not material in any way. I am the eternal spark, the eternal part and parcel of the Param Atma, the Supreme Atma, the Supreme Self. I have an eternal bond of kinship with the Supreme Person. To cultivate and uncover that eternal, forgotten relationship is the goal of meditation. To uncover this wisdom, this beauty, this eternality, this ananda or blissfulness can be very easily achieved through the practice of meditation on transcendental sound. In the same way that a diamond which is covered in the darkness and the earth, its beauty and brilliance can again be revealed as the rocks and dirt and mud is removed. So with the practice of meditation on transcendental sound, our true nature is uncovered and revealed. So in a moment we will harmonize our breathing. Then starting on the third outward breath, we add this beautiful yoga mantra of Gauranga. On each inward breath, be aware of the mantra. Silently meditate on the mantra in the mind. And then with each outward breath, say the mantra audibly so you can hear it. Listen to the sound as we say it. Rest the mind, rest your heart, rest your troubles and problems in this transcendent experience. So let us inhale together. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Nice deep inhalation. One more time. So just keeping your eyes closed for a few more moments, holding on to the mantra now, just silently in the mind. And when you're ready, if you want to open your eyes. So I hope you feel you're well, things are going okay in your life and that your health is good. And again, thank you very much for taking your precious time to tune into our Thoughtful Thursdays. I know some of you also attend our other kirtans and other programs, maybe the regular yoga asana classes that we stream, as well as other meditations and things like that. And perhaps there may be some new viewers with us tonight, so welcome. For the next hour or so, we'll be exploring some of the teachings, the yoga wisdom teachings of yoga, and some kirtan meditation to finish. So tonight's exploration of yoga wisdom comes from a very amazing personality, a great saint named Pralad Maharaj. I was reading today in one of the Vedic or yogic texts called the Bhagavad Purana or the Srimad Bhagavatam about the transcendental teachings of Pralad Maharaj. And this particular part of the teachings of Pralad Maharaj was when actually he was a very young boy of 5 years old. So maybe just a little bit of an aside on this is the Bhagavad Purana was compiled or written down approximately 5,000 odd years ago by Vedavyas, a very well-known and important transcendentalist who put together a vast body of transcendental literature, Yoga Sutras, Mahabharata, many different things, including this Bhagavad Purana. So the history of Pralad Maharaj goes back thousands upon thousands of years. And Pralad Maharaj was born into a family His father was a very powerful, I suppose we could use the word emperor or dictator. His father was very materialistic and very strongly atheistic. So Pralad was born into this family, this situation. And his father sent him to school, as was the case now, was the case then, around about when he was 5 years old. But Pralad Maharaj was very different from the other boys in the schools. He already had a deep devotional view of life, even at this very young age. It's described in the Bhagavad Purana that he actually heard from a very great transcendentalist, a famous transcendentalist in the Vedic literatures known as Narada Muni. He actually originally heard these transcendental teachings of yoga, of the Vedas, while he was in the womb of his mother. So even from his very birth, from before his birth, so to speak, he was devotionally inclined to the Supreme Soul. In fact, he was absorbed, even as a very young child, in meditation upon the Supreme Soul, upon the holy names of the Supreme, the qualities, the words, the pastimes of the Supreme Soul. And in fact, the Supreme Soul was his life and soul. So while at school, Pralad Maharaj, when there was a break and the teachers would go away for their break, he's in a class with boys of similar age, 5, 6, 7-year-old, that kind of age. And when there was this break time from studies, he would call all of his young friends together. He was very affectionate to his friends, and all of his young friends were very affectionate to Pralad Maharaj. He had very wonderful qualities of compassion and care for others, even at such a young age. Now, what Pralad Maharaj would like to do in these breaks from study, he would call all of his friends around and say, let us sing the holy names of the Supreme. Let us have kirtan. Let us remember the words and the beautiful form and the qualities of the Supreme. Let us discuss transcendental topics. This is the best way to spend our time. So his friends, who were also his friends' parents were of a similar nature to Pralad's father. They were all connected to the court of his father, and they had a similar outlook on life. They were very nice children from what we read from the Bhagavad Purana, but their inclination, due to the influence of their parents and the society in which they lived in, was also materialistic. But Pralad Maharaj was immersed in transcendence or spiritual life, spiritual cultivation. So his friends would say, Pralad, let us just play. Let's play some games. And Pralad would, we just want to have fun, right? Kids just want to have fun. That's the nature of childhood, of course, to have fun and play. Pralad also liked to have fun. Pralad also was looking for joy and happiness. But because he had experienced transcendental joy, transcendental happiness, he actually knew where the topmost joy, happiness, fulfillment was to be found, because he had experienced it within himself. So he was always encouraging his young friends. He was teaching them, actually, the transcendental teachings of Pralad were, our life is very, very short. We don't know how much time we will have. And we should actually use our time, even from our childhood, to achieve the perfection of life, to come to know and understand and to achieve, to experience the goal and the perfection of life, which is remembrance of our relationship with the Supreme Soul, with Krishna or God. This is actually the purpose of our life. And not only is it the purpose of our life, this is where actual satisfaction and happiness, joy, fun, is to be found. So Pralad went on to explain the preciousness of time and how quickly it passes. Now, my body is 66 years old, and my memory, the earliest memory I have in this life, in this body, was on my 3rd birthday. Now I can remember, what I got as a present for my 3rd birthday and certain things that happened. I can even remember where we were. So I have a very clear memory of 33 years ago. 63 years ago. So that 63, or even, when you hear someone, maybe you're younger and, you hear about someone who's 66 and you think, well, they're old now, and well, they might die soon, but that's okay because they've had a good life or a long life and they may die. But Pralad was saying the reality is we don't know how long we have. Anything can happen to us. There are no guarantees in this life on how long we will be around. In fact, he spoke to them very clearly, succinctly, and very deeply about the reality of our lives and how quickly it passes and how quickly we come to an age like 60 or 70 or 80. My experience is, we've spoken about this very often, I still feel like I'm young. I still feel like I'm a young boy, a young man. When you say 66, you think, well, you'll feel 66. But because the nature of the Atma, the nature of ourselves, of the soul, is we are eternal and therefore forever young, the living being, the Atma, you and I, we are not actually affected by time. Time only affects matter, material energy. It cannot and does not affect the superior spiritual nature, which is our nature. So Pralad tried to explain to them, because the boys were saying, we're only young now, let us play. And then later on in life, we can put aside some time for spiritual cultivation, for remembering the Supreme, for meditation. Now let us just have fun. And then later on we can deal with these, with these topics. So Pralad explained, he said, actually life is very short. You may think it is actually a long way off. 60, 70 is a very, very long way away, particularly when we are so young. He said what happens is, from birth up until our teenage life, 12, 13, 14, we just waste our time in play. That's all we want to do, study, play. So then when we come to our adolescent years, our young adult years, of course, at that time, there is a natural inclination. It arises within us, a different type of play, a different kind of goal in life, a different kind of engagement or activity. And I'm sure you can all remember, those of you who are older than teenagers, I'm sure you can remember what awakens in those teenage years and how we are looking for something else to do other than playing with pull-along cars or Lego or whatever it might be. So that is looking for someone to love. Of course, we already have our parents and our siblings and friends, but a different kind of love, romantic love, that desire for romantic love then awakens. So we spend a number of years investigating and engaging in various relationships with people to find this partner, this someone to love me and someone whom I can love. And then perhaps we fall in love and perhaps we marry or, we live together. And then what may spring from that, of course, is looking for somewhere to live with this partner. So looking for an apartment, perhaps getting a house, a mortgage, then the responsibilities of children may come along. And then, of course, what flows from that is there's a need for money. Therefore, there's a need to have a decent job. So I end up spending a lot of time in the pursuance of a career and making sure I can take care of my partner and children that may come from that. So there is a lot of time spent from, let's say one 20-year-old through to 50 or more, one is spent in pursuing these goals. So Pralad's friends are saying, well, after we find someone as a partner to marry, well, after that, we'll engage in spiritual life. And then, of course, the children come, the career comes, all of that part of one's life comes, and one also doesn't have enough time then to actually cultivate our spiritual practices. So Pralad is explaining this, and then his friends say, well, after the children are grown up and after they leave home and have their own families, then we will have time for spiritual cultivation. That's the best time for spiritual cultivation anyway. It's at the end of our life, just before we're ready to die. So we can do it then. Well, of course, Pralad, being transcendentally intelligent and insightful, explained, well, what happens in retirement, a number of things. One may start traveling here and there, and one may then always be engaged with one's grandchildren and things like that, and time is spent in reminiscing and all kinds of things. So there's always something which actually gets in the way of our determination and desire to engage in spiritual cultivation. Then, in connection with this, there's also a couple of other thoughts that come to mind as well that I've heard from my spiritual master and read in the yoga text. And even just as a common cultural knowledge thing is, how much time do we spend sleeping? So if you look at, let's say, someone, we'll say the average is 80 years. Let's say someone, we're going to live to around about 80 years. If nothing gets us before then, like, we go out to buy something and we may be engaged, a car accident might happen. We might catch some disease. There's always cancer. There's many things which can kind of cut short that idea of 80 years. But let's say we have the 80 years. How much time do we spend sleeping? I mean, most of us really like to sleep, particularly on days, like, when I'm speaking this, it's a bit cool, it's a bit cold, it's kind of rainy, there's nothing like just cuddling up under the doona and having a drink or, like a hot chocolate or something. And so we end up spending a lot of time at night or other times sleeping. So around about, not half of our life, but at least a third of our life. If we sleep around about 8 hours, and that's just, our main recovery sleep at night, then of course we have naps and things like that. So right there, we're already chewing into a third of this 70 or 80 years simply in unconsciousness, unawareness, being unaware of the surroundings and things like that, let alone engaging in spiritual cultivation. Then there are other things, as you say, going to school, study, work, spending time in relationships, cooking. How much time do we spend in cooking? And then eating what we've cooked, and going out, and recreation, and so many things. So time passes very, very quickly. Those of you who are of a similar age to me will know exactly what I'm talking about. And there is no guarantee, of course, we get to experience the pleasure of old age. There's no guarantee we'll make it there. So the idea that Pralad was explaining is that now is the time. He even said from childhood is when we should actually engage in spiritual cultivation, to not leave it for any other time. Now, for those of us who have not engaged in spiritual cultivation from our childhood, of course it is a fact that it is never too late. However we find ourselves in our life now, whatever age or whatever circumstances that we find ourselves in, it is never too late to start or to pick up again or to dive deeper into our spiritual practice. So this is the main thing that I want to talk about tonight. It's a very simple message, but a very important message. Because mostly we tend to waste our life. When you look at time, it's usually, when we get up in the morning, we have maybe certain responsibilities, but a lot of the time we're looking to waste time. We tend to waste time. I like that word, wasting time. There is nothing gained from it. We're trying to spend our time, in any kind of thing, just to engage ourselves in some activity and the time we have available to us. Now, mostly like Pralad Maharaj was not trying to say we should not engage in the things such as family, career, work, relationships. These are part of our experience of life, and can be engaged in, but they should be done as just enough to get by. This is actually the teachings of yoga, not to neglect our mental or physical well-being, but not to simply see that as the purpose and the goal of our existence. Because this is also connected to like our career, right? We want money, we want to have a good bank balance so we can do things, we can take care of our family nicely. But also most people's feet are set down the path of getting things, getting stuff, and having experiences. Commonly known or known in the Vedic or yoga text as gratification of the senses, different experiences of the senses, to experience some kind of pleasure through our five senses. So sense gratification becomes the goal and the focus of our life. Improved and increased material facility and experiences, if we can put it in that kind of term. But if we look at it, and this is a light which yoga teaching shines on reality, is that we should not be over-endeavoring for these things, because they will come of their own accord. They will come of their own accord. We cannot avoid experiencing some pleasure of the senses because we have a body and because we have senses. Automatically, what will come along is a certain amount of pleasure. It is guaranteed in our life, even if we don't search out for it or strive for it as being the focus of our existence or the goal of our life. In the same way that although we do not search it out, we still experience distress. There is no one in the world who does not experience distress of some form or other. In fact, it comes regularly. The stress of the body and the mind, the stress caused by other living beings, by the weather, by nature, they come of their own accord. Although we do not seek them out, we still experience them. Is that not true? Similarly, certain amount of pleasure of the senses will come about of its own accord as we travel through life. It is the nature of life. And if we look at it, even whether, the cats, the dogs, the birds, the various species of life, also they do not strive for it and make it their goal of life and a career to search out and to, find these things. They also experience pleasure of the senses, distress. So similarly, in the same way as it is there in all species of life, we also will experience these very same things. So understanding this and understanding the preciousness and the shortness of the time that we have in this life, we should actually, wherever we may be on our path, in our journey through life, is to be introspective and to do an assessment. What am I doing? What things are actually interfering? What things are getting in the way so that I can actually have a full experience of spiritual life? I can actually engage in those activities which help me to deepen my real spiritual life, my real purpose of life, the real goal of life, coming to know and love the Supreme Person, the Supreme Soul. That is actually right there. That is the purpose and the meaning and the goal of our existence. Because as we said, we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. We have an eternal bond of kinship with the Supreme Soul, Krishna, or God. So the happiness we seek is to be found in that loving relationship. So it is to uncover that relationship that we have this time, and we have this precious and rare human form of life. The human form of life, which we have come across through an evolutionary process, is extremely rare. It's described in the Vedas, in the yoga teaching, that there are 8,400,000 different types of species or body that the Atma, the living being, can transmigrate through or live in. So the perfection and the purpose of this human form of life is not to engage in those activities, to make the goal, should I say, the goal of our human form of life, those same activities which the living beings in the lower species of life are engaging in: eating, sleeping, sex life, and fighting or defending. These are there in every species of life. They are there in the human form of life. But we have another facility, and that is to inquire into the nature of life, of who am I, why am I suffering, is there a supreme absolute reality, what is my relationship with this world, with my body, with others, with the Supreme. So this is actually the real purpose which distinguishes the opportunity of this human form of life from the life of the living beings when they are encased in the different species of life other than human. And to neglect this opportunity is the greatest travesty of our existence, because there is no guarantee of where we will go and what will happen to us when we leave this body behind at death, if we have not taken the opportunity to cultivate that relationship with the Supreme Soul. And another thing comes to mind, and that is many people think, and why most of us put off spiritual life to some vague time in the future. And usually when we think of old age, just before death, that's the time that we can, immerse ourselves in preparing for death and cultivating spiritual consciousness. Because we think, I just want to have fun, like the young friends of Pralad. Well, why don't we just enjoy ourselves first throughout our life, our childhood, our teenage years, our young adult, our middle age. Let's just go through life, enjoy everything that life has to offer, and then at the last part of our life, then we can, nothing more to enjoy, we've enjoyed everything, then let us engage in boring spiritual life. Because that's what most people actually think. Spiritual life, religions, this is all for very dull, boring people who don't know how to have fun, who don't know how to experience life. So put it off till later. But the reality is that most of us don't understand is that real, actual happiness, actual satisfaction is synonymous with actual spiritual life. So we're not just talking about living a moral, pious life. We're actually speaking about the nature of the Atma, your real nature and my real nature. As we said, is Sat, Chit, Ananda. We are eternal living beings. For us, there is never birth nor death. We never cease to exist. We are an eternal spark of the Supreme Soul. We are by nature full of conscious awareness, of wisdom, of understanding. That is our real nature. And because of this relationship with the Supreme Soul, this relationship of loving devotion, in experiencing that relationship, that transcendental love, that spiritual love with the Supreme and all other living beings, it is in that relationship that we experience beyond anything that we can experience, any happiness, any pleasure, any joy that we can experience through the dull senses. They pale into insignificance compared to the happiness derived from this union with the Supreme Soul. So it's like when we say we'll put off spiritual life to some vague time in the future, that's like we are putting off our actual self-interest. We are putting off actual joy, actual satisfaction to some time in the future. But this is not very intelligent. So it isn't like, spiritual life is meant to be a bummer. Spiritual life is actual joy, actual happiness. And it is to be experienced now. Not, when I leave this body and I go to some heaven or something like that. As we gradually, through our spiritual practice, our spiritual cultivation, uncover our true nature and our relationship with the Supreme Soul, with Krishna, then we can experience that Ananda, that eternality, that wisdom here and now as we journey through our life. So how can we do this? How can we actually experience that transcendental reality? We are very fortunate in one sense. In this age we find ourselves in now, which is called the age of Kali in the Vedic teaching, which basically means the age of quarrel, the age of problems, more than problems, disasters is probably the correct way to understand it. Even in this very difficult age, this very difficult time, this very difficult life, as we are struggling with material existence, we can very easily enter into this transcendental world through transcendental sound. So we can experience yoga, union, of our eternal bond of kinship with the Supreme through the regular contemplation upon, meditation on, hearing, singing, chanting the holy names of the Supreme. Because there is no difference between the absolute truth, Krishna or God, and the holy names of God. So by the path of spiritual cultivation is very, very simple in this age. It is the regular hearing, chanting, meditation upon, immersing ourselves in, finding shelter in the Supreme through the holy names of the Supreme. And this is the holy names of the Supreme are our companion through life, through all of the temporary ups and downs. When the disasters come in our life, we will experience that. When the joys and happiness and sensual pleasures come and go, they are all temporary, impermanent. We will actually have a permanent spiritual life, which is transcendental to the ups and downs of the temporary material existence. So that is the main thing that I wanted to share and speak about, and myself, of course, contemplate upon and act upon. Of course, we can hear these ideas from the sages and saints, and we may even have some inclination to see the truth in them. But the real acceptance of them, the real experience of them, is when we act upon these truths. And this is what spiritual life means. So it cannot get any easier than this. We don't have to give up our life, our careers, our family, our bank balance, a nice car. All of these things can still be there so we can have a conducive material life, material journey. But we should not over-endeavor for those things which are difficult to attain. And we should allot consciously every day a certain amount of time for our spiritual cultivation. Then we will take full advantage of the time, however long that time may be. Maybe it's another year. Maybe it's another week. Maybe it's another decade. Maybe it's another minute. Maybe it's another hour. There is no guarantees. No one has a guarantee on any of this. So however long that time may be, let us live it joyfully. Let us live it fully. Let us live it completely and act upon this yoga wisdom, the reality of who we are and what the real goal and purpose of this human form of life is. So please consider these ideas. And as I said at the beginning, if you have any questions or anything like that about this topic or others, I'll be very happy to speak about it more. So thank you very much. So now we're going to finish with a little bit of kirtan meditation. Let me just have a drink of water here. And have our guitar. So the how the kirtan works, just in case there is some people who have not had kirtan before, you're not familiar with it. It is the most wonderful, beautiful, sublime, easy, powerful, effective form of meditation, particularly in this age. It is actually known as the Yuga Dharma. And very simple. So how it will work is I will sing some mantras. And while I'm singing, the idea is others can listen to these transcendental sounds. This is part of the meditation in kirtan, is to actually consciously, effortlessly, but consciously listen to the person who is leading the kirtan as they are singing these beautiful mantras. Now, in this case, what will happen is after I sing, you are meant to sing back. Now, of course, I can't hear you, but I'm going to assume that you are. And also, Madhulila Dasi is here, so I'll be able to hear her. She's going to sing in response to me. You may or may not be able to hear her singing, but yourself, please join in. Or if you like, you can just close your eyes and listen, and in that way you'll still derive the benefit from kirtan, is simply by listening. But if you like, sing along. And the mantra that we'll be singing is Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. So once again, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. So I will sing while you listen, and then you can sing, and I get to listen to Madhulila Dasi, and then we'll go back and forwards for a little bit. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Haribo, Nitaiko, Nitaiko, Haribo, Haribo, Nitaiko, Nitaiko, 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 Haribo. Nitaiko, Haribo, Haribo, Nitaiko, Nitaiko, Haribo. Once again, thank you very much for having your company. A couple of things we can let you know about. Looks like, very hopeful, that next Thursday, the next Thoughtful Thursday session, is going to be with our very dear friend and highly qualified yoga master teacher, Vrindavan Dasi. She's going to be taking next Thursday's Thoughtful Thursday. There was a question that came in from the recent yoga challenge that we did in connection with the International Day of Yoga, and it was to do with the yama and niyama aspects of yoga, what they are and how to follow them, the meaning of them, and how to put them into practice in our life. So please come along and invite your friends to next Thursday's Thoughtful Thursday with Vrindavan Dasi, and she'll be speaking about the yoga system and particularly focusing in on the yama and niyama aspects of the yoga system. Something really I'm looking forward to it. And also just to let you know, if you like our programs, if you like our yoga and our meditations and kirtan, they're easily accessible on asmy.tv. asmy.tv, no .com, no .org, anything after it, asmy.tv, and you can get regular. There's already a plethora of material on there that you can tap into immediately tonight if you want more, and regularly updated. We also have numerous live streams, but to let you know about our kirtans, every Friday, East Coast, Australian time, at 6:30, we have kirtan at the Mantra Room here on the Gold Coast. And then every Sunday we also have kirtan live streamed here on the Gold Coast, as well as other centres around Australia. This Sunday the plan is to have an outdoor kirtan at a friend's place, David Freeman's Organic Farm at Currumbin Valley there. We're still, for those of you, I know there might be some of you watching who have booked in, keep your eyes on our social media, because we're going to make the decision around lunchtime tomorrow. Pardon me. We'll be going to be calling the Bureau of Meteorology to find out what the weather is like. Various weather apps are saying different things, but of course, being an outdoor event, if there is going to be any rain at all, then we're going to have to go indoors, because the PA and our musical equipment, instruments, don't do well out in the rain. So if you are coming, keep an eye open on social medias tomorrow after lunchtime. And it's going to be, so the live stream tomorrow, on Sunday, will be at 3 p.m. Normally we start at 5 p.m, but because we're outside and we want to do it, during the daylight, the Sunday kirtan live stream, if we are outside, will be 3 p.m. till 5. If the weather is not conducive to that, we will go back to our normal live stream inside, starting at 5 p.m. Sunday night. Okay. Namaste, and thank you very, very much, and look forward to your company. And I sincerely hope that there was something of value that you can consider out of tonight's class. And a reminder to please send any questions or comments and to share. Thank you so much, and good night. Haribo Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur Haribo, Haribo Nitai Gaur.